Jack is here tonight to talk about his testimony, and like I said, Late Night Boomin. We're really excited. We got to be a part of a Late Night Boomin. I didn't. I don't even remember where I was at. I think I was in Texas. But I was super disappointed because it looked like an absolute blast. Then we get to watch it afterward. So stick around. We have a lot of cheeseburgers. So eat, please, if you can. If you're allergic, eat them anyway. And then we'll figure it out later. There's also some like pies from McDonald's. They have like the pies and stuff like that, but that was super cool. And then we give us some stuff like that. So, but if you can, could you please welcome up I was gonna say someone who doesn't need an introduction, but I'm introducing you, Jack Unruh.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for the kindly introduction. Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Jack, like Isaiah said, and I'm super stoked to be able to talk to you guys about Late Night Boomin. I've kind of put this thing together. This was really interesting because I had not done this before, where I've laid out kind of, like Isaiah said, this kind of became a life testimony thing, and I did not expect it to go that direction, but it did. And so I'm going to kind of take you through the highs and lows of this crazy thing that we've kind of got going on called Late Night Boomin. What it is it's a show that we do here in Sioux Falls. It airs on Kellerland and online, and it's like a late night show type thing. And it's been kind of a wild ride. And so Trey asked me to come in today and speak about it, and they must have really been scraping the bottom of the barrel. No, I'm joking. But I'm really excited to talk to you about how this got started and all the highs and the lows that have come with it, because God He's taught me and grown me so much through this. And He's taught me a lot of lessons the hard way through it. So I hope you can walk away with at least a little bit of inspiration today, because one thing I've realized through this thing is that we all have things in our lives that we're trying to do. We all have goals, dreams, hopes. And through this, God's actually really taught me and continues to teach me the actual meaning of a goal and a dream and a hope. So, Late Night Boomin. We're going to take this thing back to the summer of 2019. This is the summer right after I graduated high school, the summer right before I was about to start college. Now, this is the summer where everyone starts to think about what they're going to do for their career, right? You're about to go to college, you're thinking about all this stuff, so it really got me thinking. And I was like, I always loved filming. It's always been a thing that my brother and I have done together. For my senior project, we had just gotten done doing, we made a big film project, and then we wanted to keep going bigger and better with our projects. We wanted to keep filming, keep making things. So it was time for another project. Well, that summer, this is really random, but I had been coming across a bunch of Jimmy Fallon clips online. Like, they just kept popping on my phone, and I thought it was super funny. And as odd as this sounds, Jimmy Fallon actually like subconsciously became like a role model to me that summer. Like, what I really admired about him was his charisma and how he included the people around him, like his guests. He made them feel comfortable, he made them laugh. And I thought that was super cool. I was like, this dude's so awesome. Like, Jimmy Fallon's amazing. And then I was watching one of his YouTube videos, and there was a comment on one video that said, Jimmy has the coolest job in the world. And I was like, that one comment kind of like sparked something in me. I was like, he does. He's got like such a sick job. It would be so cool to do what he does. So I was really excited to go to USF that school year. But before the semester started, this might be a little weird, but I was so excited to go that I would always just like go visit USF. Like, I was just hanging out at the school. I'm like, I can't wait to go here. This will be so fun. And while I was there, I realized that there was this room that looked like it was made to host a late night show. It's called the Big Z Hall at USF. Has anyone ever been to USF before? Okay, a few folks. So this is a picture. This is not from a Late Night Boomin show. We never got it that packed on. But that is a picture of like kind of what the hall looked at. I was like, this looks like this could be what a late night show could be hosted in. And so the wheels in my head, they started chugging. So it's about a week or so before college started. and I had this pivotal life conversation with my mom at a Starbucks. And we were talking about the upcoming school year and some thoughts about careers. And one thing that my mom said was, she said, as Christians, we need to dedicate our lives to uplifting others, and that our purpose should not be for ourselves. And I told her kind of this random idea that I had of starting up a late night show, and we wondered if that could make any sort of sense. Like, what would it look like to try and fully embrace what it means to be a host? Like, to uplift the guests on the show, the people that watch it. That was the idea, anyway. But it was a concept that would take me quite a while to understand. So, then we entered season X, is what we call it, back in the college days, okay? School year started, freshman year of college, got immediately put some great friends into my life. And early on, I told them about this idea, like, guys, what if we made a late night show here? And they loved it, and so we just decided to start working on it. So this is a picture of us, like, in one of our first ever writing meetings way back in the day. This whole thing, it started out pretty darn ragtag. I mean, there's just 5 or 6 of us. We'd meet in this whiteboard room. We'd come up with some ideas of how this could work, some random game ideas, the name of the show. Here's a fun fact about how the name Late Night Boomin came to be. We stayed in our dorm hall, was called Sullivan Hall. And we'd always say our hall was the best hall. We're like, it's always booming at Sully Hall. Like, it's always booming here. So we were coming up with names. We were like, Late Night Boomin. Like, that's what we should call this thing. And so we just went with it. So then we got 4 of our pals who could play an instrument. And then we made a little band. And then we reached out to our friend Mitchell Olson, who helped us get Sean Cable as our first guest. And so we met with them and we told them the idea. And Sean Cable, if you don't know, he's the guy in the middle with the glasses. He's like a local legend meteorologist guy who was on TV for like a really long time around here. So we decided what we'd do is we'd put up a few cameras, and our idea was just to put some clips on YouTube after the show. So it somehow was coming together, and we finally had our full crew assembled. This is like the OG first show crew. It was looking like it was gonna happen until the day of the show. First ever show. The day of the show, this huge winter blizzard came through. And this was a day right before winter break. And that afternoon, people started leaving college in mass numbers. Like, we were like, this is not good, because they were like, we gotta get out of here before this blizzard starts. Like, I guess they were trying to stay safe or something. And on top of that, our supporting guest for that night got sick that afternoon. He's like, guys, I can't do the show. I can't do it. And so he had to drop out. So Jacob, who's sitting right there in the awesome Post Malone shirt, he's a ride or die. He's a founding father of the show, and the OG co-host for the show. Him and I talked. We just kind of were like, what do we do? Like, this is 3 hours before showtime, and we knew that we either had to call it off or pull the trigger and just run with it. But one rule that we've always lived by is that when it's 4th down, you always got to throw a Hail Mary. Never punt. Always got to go for it. So we decided to do it. And the show went fantastic. Like, it was crazy. Looking back, the quality is super crappy. Like, look at that. I mean, we're using a science desk, and we like covered up the spout with a little book cover, and it was pretty crappy. But we saw the first show as a success. We're like, oh man, like we did it. We kind of set out to do it. So, what have we learned at this point in time? Like, this is, if I had to make a summary of what we had learned thus far in our journey, this is what I would say. Number 1, failure is better than regret. The whole thing was a shot in the dark from the start, and so we really had nothing to lose. We just decided to go for it, and if we failed, we failed. So that's one thing we're like, oh man, kind of stuck out to us. Second thing is, you gotta be brave enough to suck at something new. I saw that as like a quote on my mom's Pinterest or something. This is like so cool. We didn't know if we were smart enough to do it, but I guess we were brave enough to to try. And so we kind of learned those two things at this point in time. Which brings us to the next era in our story. February 2020. So we filmed the second show at USF, and that one did not go as smoothly as the first one, but we had fun with it anyways. And shortly after that, I was driving down 12th Street, this street right here, one afternoon, and I saw this big TV antenna, like up in the sky. And so I just decided to go check it out. I was like, I'm just gonna go drive over there, see what's up. And so I pull up to this place, and I got my little laptop bag with me. I think it's the same one that I have back there. It was crazy. I walk in, and I just walk right up to the front desk. I'm like, hey, can I pitch a TV show to you guys? I didn't even know how that worked. Like, I didn't even know what the process was like. And they're like, okay. They went to the back room, and then this dude named Scott, this legend, walks out from the back. He's like, hey, buddy, how's it going? Come back here with me. So I went back to his office. He showed me the ropes of TV and everything, told me how it all worked. And so I showed him what we had done so far at USF. I was like, dude, this is what we're doing at USF. Like, would there be any way that we could put this on TV, on this Fox station in Sioux Falls? And he's like, you know what, I think we could. He gave us this information packet. He was like, we can air this thing. And we were so excited as a freshman in college. We had this little TV packet. We're like, oh, we're gonna be famous and rich and all that stuff. And and then we got so hyped up, and so we were actually set in motion. We started getting people together to film more shows at USF. And we're gonna air this on TV. And it was all looking good until COVID-19. Womp womp. Yeah, you guys all remember 2020 March. It shut down the school, and this was so weird. In a week span, everyone that we knew at USF either transferred or dropped out of college, and that got me thinking about my own future. And as great as college was, I decided to drop out my freshman year. COVID, so I finished out the school year, I drop out, I'm not gonna go back to college. So that fall, I enrolled in a 6-month online film mentorship program. And at the end of those 6 months, this program led to an internship opportunity working on Lifetime movies in Atlanta. It's so random. And then I went down there and I stayed with a Korean family. That's them right there. And this is all quite different from where I was just a year before. It's where am I right now? I'm in Atlanta, staying with this random family, working on movies. What the heck is happening? So I just turned 20. I'm in this work and life environment that's way different than anything I've ever experienced. I have no idea what's coming next or where this will lead, and I'm 1,200 miles away from home. But these are the times that God grows us most, as I would soon learn. So one night down in Atlanta, I had just gotten done with this 14-hour film day. It was insane. It was just a really crazy filming thing that we had down there, and I got back to this family's house, and I remember this thunder. I remember really specific details from this night for some reason, but got back to this house, pitch black outside. This thunderstorm had just started, and so I walk into the house, and it's night, and Misha is the mom of the family. She was sitting on the couch in the living room with just a lamp on, and I just walk in, I'm just exhausted, and I just sat down on the couch, and we just started talking about how our days went. And it was so dramatic. It was just out of a movie. In the background you could hear thunder, you could see kind of lightning, there's this rain pouring against the open window, so it was crazy. So I started telling her that I had no idea what was gonna happen next. I was like, what am I doing down here, Misha? I felt all of this crazy risk taking was starting to catch up to me, and I was so uncertain about literally everything. And I was telling her this. I was like, Misha, I've given up college, I've left behind my family, my friends, and everything that we've been through, has this all been for nothing? What's gonna happen next? Where's this all leading? And so she told me about this book that she had read. This book here. Now this book is written by an actual modern day shepherd, and he was commentating on Psalm 23. What it says was that when shepherds need, this is real stuff, when shepherds need to move their sheep from one ground of pasture to higher ground of pasture, what they need to do is take the sheep through this dangerous terrain to get them to a new pasture. Otherwise, if the sheep stay in one spot, they're just going to die. So they need to bring them up to higher ground. But a lot of times, the path to get there is super rocky. So the sheep, what they have to do is they have to stay super close to the shepherd when he's leading them up this terrain. And if they veer off a little bit to the left or to the right, they're going to die. And in the same way, we have to stay so close to God, who is our shepherd, like so close that all we can see in front of us is him. And then we just take one step, one day at a time. And staying so close to him, we won't become worried by everything going on around us. As the psalm says, even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And we don't know where we're headed, because all we can see is the shepherd. Only the shepherd knows where we're going. But once we take steps further and further, eventually we can look back and see everything that he's brought us through. So it was through this time, this really uncertain time in my life, that I learned a couple cool things. One thing that I really learned was that we need to stay close to God, especially in uncertainty. And what God does is he's going to stretch us. A lot of times God will stretch us, but that is what takes us further with him. That's what takes us to higher ground with him. And the second thing is that we must keep moving forward one day at a time. It doesn't matter what, we always have to keep moving forward. All you need to focus on is right now and the shepherd in front of you. So although this time was super kind of scary and all over the place, these were lessons that I would absolutely need going into this next part of our story. So, fast forward, it is now May 2021. The ultimate part to this online mentorship was that you got the opportunity to pitch a script to a producer at the end of your term. So when the COVID regulations finally lifted in May of 2021, I came back to South Dakota from Atlanta and then flew out to LA with my mom the next day. And I'd been working on this movie script for the past 9 months, and I was super excited about it. When I pitched it, so was this producer that I pitched it to. It caught me by surprise. Like, this is super cool. So what he told me to do is come back to South Dakota, assemble a crew, and then he was going to help us raise money to shoot this movie. So that's what we started to do. We were going to make this movie called Gorilla. That was like the OG concept art of this movie that we wanted to make. But then the summer started going on, and we realized that by the time we'd be able to start shooting it, the summer was going to be over. So we didn't want to rush it, so we decided to hold on. We had to ask, what would we do in the meantime? Once again, I mentioned my mom earlier. You're going to see that she's pretty much one of the wisest people on the planet. She brought up the idea to try Late Night Boomin again. She's like, you guys did it back in college? Like, what if you did it again? We're like, okay, why not? So it's July 2021. That's what we decided to do. All right, I decided to hit the streets. So if we were going to do this thing, we'd have to do it a lot bigger, a lot better. It'd have to be a lot better than, well, what it was. Just crazy. So we gathered a writing team, a co-host, a production company, business advisor. We started an LLC called Bada Boom Studios. We tried to do it legit, and we got everyone hyped up and excited about it. But if you've ever tried to start a business or tried to do anything on a large scale, you quickly realize that one thing that comes in handy is money. And how much did we have? $500 from our Uncle Del, who wanted us to film his sports shop. That's all we had in the pocket. So we needed a place to film this show from. So we toured some venues. We ended up landing on the Washington Pavilion. But we wanted to make our relationship with them more of a partnership so that we could save money on the deal. In addition, we wanted to be on TV. Because again, if we were going to do this show, it'd have to be bigger and better. So we did something that may not be the most ethical thing, but I told the TV station that the Pavilion was all in, that they loved what we were doing. And then I told the Pavilion that the TV station was all in, that they loved what we were doing. And somehow it worked. They're like, oh, well, those guys are in, I guess we're in. And so then we had everything we needed to do our first show. Season 1 officially of Late Night Boomin. So this was October of 2021. The season began. Season 1 was a prime example of jumping without knowing where you're gonna land. Like, we had so many things, we had to figure so many things out along the way. It was crazy. For example, the first 2 shows that we filmed were filmed to be hour-long TV episodes. But after meeting with the TV station, their advice to us was to go for 30-minute episodes. The reason is that you should always leave people wanting more. I was like, oh, it's actually really cool advice. So we switched up the way that we film live shows, and we now shoot 2 TV episodes in one night. Another thing we learned was that what we used to do is we used to shoot our TV shows like a play. Like, we tried to be as perfect as possible, one take, one run through. And that was all well and good until we had a tech issue at the very start of our 5th show into the season. And it derailed the whole show. Like, we got nervous, and then the audience could feel the awkwardness, and it was so bad, you guys. It was so awkward. So from there, we decided to treat every live show like it's being filmed for TV. So now, if you ever come to a show, we cut, we stop, start, we miss lines, we redo things all the time. It actually makes the show so much more fun. And the audience loves to see the bloopers, like sometimes even more than the actual show itself. It's kind of crazy. The final wild thing about season 1 had to do with our partners. So how the show works is it's free to watch for anyone. It's free to watch on TV, online, even the live shows. Anyone can come and watch the thing. So how we make our money is through our partners. How we do that is we create unique, entertaining, informative content for them and incorporate it into the show itself. So really it's an advertisement for them, but it's also entertainment for the audience. And in season 1, we were figuring it out as we went. So we were actually getting partners for each show between shows. And so when one show ended, we didn't know if there would be another one. And when we finally did get a partner, we had to write the whole show in like a week and a half. It was insane. Somehow, some way, the Lord allowed us to complete season 1, and it took a long time. But to complete this filming, it took from October of 2021 to January of 2023. This is 15 months we calculated it out. It's so wild. Now, a little learning update. What had we learned up to this point in time? If I had to put bullet points to it, it'd be this. That when God starts something, He's going to finish it one way or another. It may not look the way that you envision it, but if He sets you on a journey, He's going to equip you to finish the journey. Second thing is that God always provides. Even in all the craziness, God provides every single step of the way. But as we headed into the final act of our story tonight, the biggest lessons were yet to come. How's that for a little tee up? To 2023, the drought. This was a crazy year. In my head, I always think of 2023 as a drought. So we finished filming season 1, and the immediate question of now what pops up. Like, do we do a different project? Maybe try to film that gorilla thing? Or do we do something else entirely? In my head, I always just thought very generally that somehow things would keep moving forward, but I didn't know how. And it was then that I had another pivotal life conversation with, you guessed it, my mom. And she said, well, why don't you just see what it would take to do a season 2? Okay, let's give it a whirl. Let's just see what it would take. Met with our amazing business advisor. We put together a type of budget, and we started scheduling meetings with companies to try and gain more partners. We showed them what we had done, and so we were like, guys, we're trying to do this bigger. We're trying to keep this going. Like, what do you guys think? And so we'd meet with companies, and we'd wait to hear back from them, and then we'd schedule more meetings, and then we'd get a little hope, and then some companies would drop out. And then that kept happening over and over and over. Scheduling, pitching, hope, failure. Scheduling, pitching, hope, failure. On and on and on and on. And guys, this went on for months. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever felt like in a point in your life when you just feel stuck. Like when you feel like your tires are just spinning. I mean, season 1 was a lot of work. It was exhausting for all of us mentally, physically. But this constant tire spinning and constant rejection, it was so much worse. Like if you guys have ever been at this point in your life, I met with a good friend and he put it into really good terms. He said to me that nothing drives people more insane in life than lack of progress. You can actually be in a lot lower spot in life than someone else, but if you feel that you're making progress, then that's what keeps you going. But we were making none. During this time, I was working part-time as a glorified garbage man for a property management company. I was living at home with my parents, so I'd have the time and flexibility to try and build our business. And after months and months and months of failure, I finally understood what it meant to feel numb. And this was the weirdest thing ever. This was a feeling that I'd never felt before, and I never want to feel it again. It's like not sadness, it's not anger, it's not pain, it's just like numb. Like in your soul, you can't feel anything. Like life seemed totally pointless. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I'm living at home. I had no idea why God had brought me through everything just to leave me here. And on top of all of that, this summer was just not a very fun summer. I had recently broken my jaw, and I was stuck in these braces. Oh my goodness, you guys, that was horrible. If you've ever had braces before, there's nothing redeeming about them. They're horrible. But actually, it really sucked. And another thing that happened that summer that was actually really tough was that one of my closest mentors that I've known my whole life, he just died unexpectedly. And so this was like an all-time low. It was at that point that I did start to feel again, but I got angry. That's what I was feeling. I was angry at God. Like it felt like he was kicking me while I was down. My faith during this time was shaken more than it's ever been. Like I was legitimately considering walking away from my faith. It was not good. This was truly an all-time low, and that's how it went for the summer of 2023. But then came a heart shift. So, I don't expect you guys to be able to read that. This is a journal entry from August 29th, 2023. I have the crappiest handwriting ever, so don't worry, I'll read it out for you. This is my journal entry from August 29th. It says this: the devotion I read last night talked about Hosea 2, 1 through 23. Sometimes God leads us past our sin and circumstances, out into the wilderness where we just focus on Him. It is there that He speaks tenderly to us, draws us back to Him, all out of love. Today may have been a turning point. Talked with Forrest is my stepdad, had a talk with Forrest about being willing to let go of my striving and fall back into a steady job for now. I am hesitant to release ambition, control, etc. But I've realized doing that is more of a leap of faith than anything. Like Forrest said, life circumstances will work themselves out. Follow God first. I've said it all along, but God is forcing me now to actually put it to practice. Though I'm uncertain, I'm kind of excited. God is doing something. But I know I will still struggle to see these last 8 months as anything but a waste for a time. Doesn't mean I'm just quitting all of our ambitious projects, simply following a door that could lead to even more opportunities. We never know what God could use or do in the future. 2 days after writing that journal entry, I officially met with a church to be the youth coordinator there as a full-time job. So I knew I had to keep moving forward with life. The literal next day, I came here to Trey to meet with Sandy. And all I had heard, all I knew about her was that she knew a lot about the Lord and a lot about business. And so I straight up, I just came here and I just told her our story. I just said, Sandy, this is where we're at in life. And Sandy was amazing. She helped to connect me with some amazing business leaders. She gave some wonderful advice on how to seek the Lord. And then my job at this church also connected me with so many people and taught me leadership skills I never had. One conversation with Sandy and a new job, and within days, the trajectory of Late Night Boomin shifted completely. Season 2 began right there. We had our partners for the season lined up. We started pulling triggers and making moves left and right. It was crazy. And as of last week, literally last week, we officially wrapped the second season of Late Night Boomin. It was crazy. So why do I share all of this with you? Because I had to go through that for the Lord to burn His truth deep into my heart. What I learned through that time was, number one, that God's love is not circumstantial. He uses everything in our lives for His glory and our good. So we shouldn't look at God's love for us through the lens of our circumstances, but we should always look at our circumstances through the lens of God's love for us. Second thing is that we need to follow the leader, not the path. God can lead us into places and things and use us there, but at the end of the day, He is who we follow, not the thing He calls us into. He is our calling. Third thing we learned is that we didn't come this far to only come this far. This is a quote that our basketball coach would always say to us, but now at this point in time, it had actually meant something to me. God will bring you to where He wants you to be. And we need to remember that what you know is infinitely more important than what you currently feel. And that was a very long backstory of Late Night Boomin. It's been a wild ride. Lots of highs, lots of lows through season 2, and even after the completion of it, after all of that, I no longer have this life or death mindset about it. Like now, it's literally maybe there's going to be a third season, maybe not. But I've had peace this whole time knowing that our future would genuinely be what God wants it to be. And it's way better than anything we could think of on our own. So, in our lives, we have no idea where our stories will go, but we know the author, and He is amazing. Thank you for listening. Down in the trenches.
Thank you, Jack. That was awesome. First of all, when Late Night Boomin's back, we'll believe that it's gonna be. He'll be back. We're all gonna go together. We'll do another. Everybody go and watch Jack do his thing first stand. So, but tonight we get to watch it. Right? Is it queued up and ready to go, or not yet? No. So we'll take a 5-minute hiatus and get some burgers because there's a lot left, and some mini pies. And ask Jack any questions you have for him.
About McDonald's?
Yeah, that too, but that's especially about Late Night Boomin and his life. And then come back in and we're gonna watch the Trey, because Trey partnered with Late Night Boomin this year, and this is the first time actually I'm seeing it, so I'm pretty excited. So we're gonna watch together and have a lot of fun, and then feel free to stick around.